Wubbity wubbity wubbity. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hello everyone. And welcome to tonight's show, where we're going to be giving the gobos some firepower. Shooty, shooty, shooty. Bang, bang. Oh, no bang bangs. Thwip, thwip. Whatever it's gonna be. And so let me go ahead and I'm gonna place this into there. And let's see, do I have, when was the last time I posted in here? Oh, that would have been not quite 30 days ago, so not yet. Okay days. And let's make this. Yes, I want to send. We. Alright, now, not good enough for right now. No, not quite yet. Let's go to Reddit. Sculpting away tonight. After the show, the result will be put on Thingiverse. I hope you watch and enjoy my sculpting. And that should do it for right now. And who do we have that just joined in, huh? Who do we have? Oh, I know one thing I've got to do. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I've got to switch accounts because currently I'm in chat under the name of my other YouTube thingy. There we go. That'll do it. And hello, TJ. Let me pop out the chat, and I'm sorry for the that whole echo effect thing going on, but yeah. Oh, you don't have it yet because I haven't switched to the. Don't mind me. Okay, so we're gonna be doing some shooty bits with some gobos, eh? Yeah, we're giving the gobos some firepower tonight. That's for sure. We're gonna be making them able to go shoot, bang, bang, and all the whole 9 yards of that kind of stuff. So, let's go ahead and kick on over. Yep, there we go. So in the content library, I go to the miniature base geo, and there is my jointed base male who loads in a little small. He loads in small because at this size, he prints out at 28mm scale with 28mm to the bottom of the eyes and 33 average height, something like that. So, today we're going to be making, like I said, a shooty gobbo. So, we go to the scene tab, load in a skirt, yeah, and then we're going to load in a prop. Now the thing is, hey Kim, how's it going? I'm thinking about giving it a crossbow and having him be sitting there struggling to try to pull it back. So instead of actually being parented to him, I'm going to have it by itself. Now, it looks like it's parented, but it's not really. Because watch what happens when I shrink him down to a goblin. it stays right where it is. Now I really need to make this even bigger, make this a full-on arbalest, so I'm going to make it 120% scale. Now, let's get this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rotate it a bit like that. And then like that. Control D to get it in position, and then actually no, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and from the top view maneuver it into position and then hit Control D again. That'll bring it back. Perspective view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him with 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot on the bow, and the others coming around, the crossbow coming over his shoulder and him going just like that. Okay. So now we got to do the pose, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to this, because what I first need to do is I need to actually need to move this into a better position. I'm going to hide the crossbow until I've got his body in position. Then I'm going to move the crossbow into the right spot. Okay, so we're going to start off by hiding the skirt so it's easier to select just the hip or just the thigh. And I'm going to bend the hip back. Bend this leg forward. Bend it at the foot, bend at the knee, and then bend the foot down. And I'm going to I can unbend that thigh just a little and twist it a little. And bend this foot back. And bend the foot. Now, I go to front view, and let's see how much we need to do to flatten this out. And a little bit there. Bend the toe up a little. And hit Control D. No, that didn't do it. Front view. Okay. I need to drop him down to the ground. So, I translate down just a little bit. There, that's good. That's exactly where I need it. Perspective view. Now, let's see. Crossbow. I need to go ahead and move it back some. And then I'm going to bring this leg up a bit more because it kind of needs it. Side to side. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the tunic skirt. He'll be in pants. And then bend this sucker a bit more. Okay, I need to bend the calf a bit more and pull that leg up. Pull the foot up, rather. Yeah, there we go. And let's see, let's rotate it this way. And then we're going to top view and move it into position, and then once again Control D to drop it up. And perspective view, there we go. Okay, I need to move this leg, this whole leg back. I need to twist it a bit. And we go back to the front view of that foot, and we need to side it quite a lot. And then let's grab this foot and pull it up. Alright, and there we go. And then a little bit of... too much, wrong way. Yeah, there we go. And then just bend it up just a couple degrees more. There we go. Perspective view. Now we need to bend the torso into position. Think this is going to be a bit too big for him? Alright, so we go, when we're bending multiple things at once, over here, right below the name of the figure, it has all. We click that, and we can do a side to side of all the body parts at once. Actually, I need to bend that back a bit and bend the chest only forward. It'll look a little bit more stressful. And then we're gonna side to side the shoulder a little bit, once again to make it look a little bit more stressful. Then we're going to go ahead. I actually have in the content library a fist for the right hand, for the left hand, but not the right hand. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, take that, and I'm going to take the left hand. I'm going to select them all. I go to parameters, and make sure it's got all selected. I go up here to copy selected items. Oh wait, no, I don't need to copy. I need symmetry. I'm going from left to right. I hit accept. Oh. I need to pin this. Pin translation, pin rotation, and then bend away a little bit more. Twist a little bit, and side to side. There we go. That should do it. And then we're going to move this shoulder forward, because this whole arm is going to come forward. And twist. Oh, it's a bit too far forward for the collar. I thought I had the shoulder. Okay. And let's take a top view. I'm going to go ahead and grab the hand here and move it to about here. Perspective view. Okay, now I'm going to unroll the fingers. Bend 0. And we can see that I now need to go ahead and grab the hand Move it out this way. No, I don't need to move it that way. I need to move it this way a little. Unbend the thumb. I'm now going to bend the whole arm, bend the whole hand rather, backwards just a bit. Not enough. Let's see, let's bring it forward and back at the same time so that I can bend up. And let's move it in a bit. Now, grab these fingers, bend them down. And I think I need to go ahead and move it there. And then just a little bit this way. And then I'm going to unbend or the thumb a little bit and unbend the tip of the thumb. Now the next thing is the neck is going to twist on the side and bend back. Now the head's going to twist and bend down because he's looking down at the string. To bend it a bit more. Yeah. There we go. This is our little goblin Shooty guy. With a weapon just a wee bit too big for him. What do you think? Pardon me for my ears itching. Yeah. So, and once again I'm in the wrong spot. I'll go back to here. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to hide the crossbow. Make sure... Okay, what I'm going to have to do here... Make sure... No, that's good. Oh, I know. I need to mess with the eyebrows. And then I'll further scowl. I'll do the scowl some more when it comes time to sculpt the whole thing. But that's his expression for right now. So, File, Export. And this is the Broadcast Miniatures. We're going to call this one Shooty Gob Body. Accept. We're going to hide him and make his crossbow visible. We're going to simply call this Export Shooty Gob Expo. Accept. And that's all we're going to need for right now. Time for this. Yay. We come over here to under Tool where it says Import. I click it. Oh, that's from my game. No. We're going to Broadcast Miniatures. New Shooty Gob Body. And then I click and drag and it draws it into set, and I come over here to where it says Edit. I click that and it suddenly puts this white outline, and that's where our screen is. Excuse me, I was trying to fight a yawn there. Now we're going to append, and we click on the star again. We click on it down here under Subtool and import the crossbow. Now there's not going to be an actual string on the crossbow. There's multiple reasons why. But it's, you know, among other things, for an FDM, it's going to be it'd be really difficult. So I love using this thing. So now we look around, and I'm going to go ahead and just do some details on the crossbow before we get into the real nitty-gritty of the gobbo. And so first thing we got to do is we go up here to geometry. We're going to subdivide it a couple times until it's around, 583,000. That should be good enough. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add some cool little fancy details to this thing. And in order to do that, we really need to dynamesh it at 512. 512, not 52. Dynamesh. And then subdivide it again until it's back to 561,000. Yeah, without props, he's wrestling something. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and... oh dear. I seem to have forgotten an extremely important aspect of sculpting. I didn't plug in my tablet. Yay! Thank you, Mr. Wacom. Now. Okay, good. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. I'm going to end up hiding excuse me. I'm going to end up hiding the metal parts here, the bottom, the foot piece that he's supposed to be standing on. If this was a real crossbow, this would actually be like half again longer with a hole right here for you to stick your foot into. But number one, this is not a real crossbow. It's one that we had to modify to be easily printable. And number two, it's, being used by a goblin idiot anyway. Okay. Now what I did was I masked off the areas that I wanted to hide. I went to masking and inverted them. Then went to visibility and hide point. In fact, I'm going now to display properties. And where it says double, I'm turning it on so I can see the inside. That doesn't vanish on me. Okay, so now the next step is we need to give it some fanciness. Because he, as with his buddies, he stole this crossbow. In this case, from a Hume.
From a Hume. He took it right out of his darn wagon or something. He thinks he's in Orc, he does. Well, up with him, because he's a dead hard shooter if he could ever pull the darn thing.
So, go up here, and I'm going to start off with a slash. No, I'm not. I'm going to load in a new brush. I'm going to Program Files, Pixelogic, ZBrush 2018, ZBrushes, and Orb, and then pulling in the Orb Cracks. Because I'm going to be using this Orb Cracks brush with the lazy mouse turned off to draw on some fanciness. So for example, up here on the side, first of all, that's too deep, and second of all, it's too large. Let's bring it down some. Okay. And we're going to put that on both sides. Just a nice little curly Q scenario thingy. It's going to come up like this, up and over here, and then loop. Then over, down, and loop. And then from here we're going to loop down. We're going to mark up here and down here. And we have just some little fanciness there. On the bottom, we're going to make it slightly, just ever so slightly different. We're going to start it off with a sloop. And then oh, that didn't go far enough. No, because that still looks doofy. This is a situation we might want to turn on the lazy mouse and increase the depth a little bit, because when you turn on lazy mouse you don't get as deep. Okay, so we're gonna, you can already see it, it's not as deep. Undo. Let's bring it up to 30. It looks about right. And then from here, it's a little bit of there. Similar but different. Different enough to be interesting. And from here. And then frame out. We've got some nice little intricacies here, but now we're going to go ahead and add in a few other things to this to make it just a little bit fancier. First things first, we're going to go ahead and make this bigger and a little bit deeper. We're going to make this the groove for the bolt. I hid that originally. How's that? Let me increase this lazy radius. Okay. And now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw on a groove to mark off where like a different kind of wood might be. The idea being that, you know, that might be where they have the different kind of wood for the handle. And then in the center, right in the center of the top of the wood, we're going to go ahead and make our body visible, so we can make sure it's not going to be covered up. We're going to make the mouse a lot smaller and a little bit deeper. just to make sure. And then we're going to just draw on. It's too small. A shield shape. Because this sucker, we're going to make our shield shape because this sucker was stolen. No. From the man-at-arms of some kind of high-ranking noble or lord. So it's got his coat of arms on it. We're going to draw a diagonal slash. Oh, start from here. Diagonal slash. We're going to put in a couple little dots here and here and that. Now we frame out, and it's a little bit of a. Now, one of the first things we're going to do is, before we actually get started, a combination of lazy rigging and the morph caused this to happen. So let's go ahead and smooth that out. And bring that intensity down quite a lot. There we go. Now let's smooth this, because really and truly that's a bit too exaggerated, again, because of the way he was rigged and the morph. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use inflate, and we're going to swell the inside of the butt cheeks. The reason being is when it comes time to actually, blend them all into one piece, this is going to be the easiest way to make it look like he's wearing pants. Okay, now I need to that should be good enough for now. We're going to smooth out other bits when it comes time. Frame out. Let's go ahead and do the expression. So let's go to move. And the first thing is I'm going to grab this side and I'm going to tilt his head back just a little, grab here and bring it up just a bit. Not a lot. And I'm going to bring the cheek up a bit towards the eye, because cheeks do that when you frown. Well, when you bring that part of the face up. Make this a little bit bigger and drag down this part of the brow. I was going to move the eye down itself to kind of emphasize the whole looking at his hand thing. Now, let's go ahead. Under geometry, let's give it a few levels of subdivisions until it's, about 1.14. Then we go to Dynamesh, 768, blur of 0, Dynamesh. Now, First things first, shrink the mouse. And we're going back to inflate, because what we're going to do, we're going to inflate this lower lip. Make it more visible when it's printed on an FDM. Oh yeah, I gotta turn up 100. I'm gonna smooth out the bottom of it a bit to make it clear this is the bottom lip, not the top lip. Frame out. Yeah. Okay, now let's go ahead, and I mentioned we can do this. It'll look less like two butt cheeks overlapping and more like actual, you know, pants. We're going to end up smoothing it a bit more when we get to doing wrinkles, because what's going to happen is we're going to be adding wrinkles to make it look like the, you know, the pants are kind of tight now. We need to smooth out this part of the neck right here. So here we have him. He's looking kind of coolly cartoony. You know what I mean. Okay. Yep. Oh yeah, he's a little from a man-at-arms, not from an elf. Because, you know, it's elves don't use crossbows, you know? Now the next thing is, what is he wearing? And I don't mean that in a creepy text at 2 a.m. kind of thing. I mean, do I want to give him a tunic? Do I want to give him a little doublet? And I know what I'll do. Yeah, that's it.
He's a tough guy, so he's just wearing a vest, you know, to show off his pecs and his, well, lack of chest hair. So he's going to have a, it's going to come around like this. Down just a bit like that.
And yeah, let's shrink this down a bit and erase this right here, because, you know, I don't need it. He doesn't need the vest poking through his chin.
Oh, I better focus. Yeah. So let me go ahead and go to masking and sharpen it. Sharpen mask. There we go. That's what we need. And then this is going to come around like this. It's going to come out and come down. We're actually going to go ahead and make this an actual piece of clothing on him instead of just the usual blend in some seams and cuffs. Simply because
He's a, you know, he's a tough guy. Yeah, he wants it kind of hanging open a bit. And since it's going to be hanging open a bit, we're going to need that room.
Alright. So we're going to bring this down to here. And we're going to go ahead and sharpen it by erasing kind of a diagonal line from it. Let's hide the arm just to make it easier. Okay, we'll bring this around the back. Come up just in front. Okay. Bring this around, fill in this little large back gap area thingy here. And then we're going to come up with a much smaller brush. Well, actually, one, two, three, four, five. Go erase what's on the jaw. And mark it's right here. Whoops. There we go. Frame out. Okay, and now we're going to extract this as a new subtool, and we're going to bring it out 0.02. And 0.02, looks a yeah, we're going to accept it, because what we're going to do after we've dynamesh it at 256 and then subdivide it a couple times, we're going to use move topological, and we're going to kind of grab the bottom of this side and pull it out a bit. Okay, and I'm going to pull it back from the back as well, because, you know, he's leaning back, and to the side a little bit here. And we're going to grab back here and pull once again, because he's leaning back. We want it to kind of hang more than anything, and then smooth out this whole back area. Now, as I said, if it doesn't smooth out on one pass in any reasonable amount of time, move the mouse away and start tapping one, and it repeats the entire smoothing procedure. This enables you to go ahead and get it done. Just don't turn the figure or anything like that while you're doing it. And it does kind of move the mouse back. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to hide him, because what we have to do is we have to go in on the inside, inflate, and I double tap this. I go over here to where it says auto masking, which is right under my head. Now I pulled it up. Back face mask. Shrink the mouse again and increase the intensity, and I'm going to swell out the inside edge for one reason and one reason only, so that when it comes time to blend, this is all fused into the body. It's all one piece. Now, with move selected, or move topological selected, I'm going to drag it back in, make it fuse it a little bit more. The reason we're doing this is to make it easier to print, especially for people with FDM. I mean, it might have been no problem for resin, but we really want everyone to be able to print this. And so, by doing this, everyone can print it. This is not like a proprietary thing where I'm the only one that's ever going to print this, so we want to make everyone able. Now we frame out. And there we go. Actually, I need to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger and pull it in this way. Yeah, there we go. That is the vest. Now we're going to give him some arm straps. Actually, no, that's not the vest. We need to detail this vest before we do anything else. We're going to frame in. Now, male clothing, remember, you have the buttons on the right and the buttonholes on the left. So we're going to go ahead and put on some buttons and some buttonholes. Let's shrink this down. We're going to inflate. Actually, no, we're going to layer first, then inflate. I'll show why. Also, while I'm at it, let's back face mask it and close that. Let's turn off Lazy Mouse and increase the layer to about there. I'm going to do it once, twice, 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. Now I go to inflate. And inflate it twice. No. Let's increase this inflation. We won't want to increase inflation. That results in problems for the entire economy. Oh, way too much. Let's shrink this down. Whoa. Shrink it down a lot. Shrink this down a lot. And we're going to follow along the rim here. No, that didn't look good. Let's see if we can do it this way. Yeah, there we go. That'll do it. There we go. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. We're going to subdivide it once more. Dynamesh it again. No, not that little. 512. 512. Undo the Dynamesh and subdivide. This smooths out those buttons. Now we're going to go back to the orb cracks. We're going to make it kind of deep. Make sure that we have those mouse off. And we're going to draw on some deep cracks for the buttonholes. And then over here. There we go. That was just one things we needed to do before we started work on anything in front of it. Now, getting a bit of sody. Looking at the time, it's already almost 9 o'clock. We've been going for not quite an hour, so we can be a little bit more casual with our detailing. So, real quick, let me pop back here. I just want to show you something that I printed out from my Saturday campaign. I'm pretty certain none of them are watching right now, but I took a basic, ordinary wall terrain section, you know, something like this with the little footprint. Painted it up, and then, but I also printed it so that it had bum sigil of the big bad demon prince they're fighting, with elements of it glowing red hot as if still from the forge. Ooh. But yeah, all I did, I made this in another program. I loaded it into ZBrush and used Dynamesh to fuse it on there. I then made an alpha in the shape of the sigil. You know, not just the crossbars with the asterisks and the circles, but also the individual symbol pieces, and then use layer to dig it in there. That is the symbol of the big bad demon prince they're fighting, and that's going to be on the table this Saturday. The only terrain on the table, except for maybe a drawing of the cosmos, I think. Also, I scaled it up to 130%. But anyway, let's... no, I'm not actually. Okay, I gotta tell y'all this. This is just hilarious. So, several months ago, the party was sent to go hunt down the leader of a demon cult. They go in the front door to encounter an incubus behind a desk. Behind a desk.
Ah, yes, you're here. Yes, that means the sacrifices can commence.
And of course, fight and kill him. Keep on going. They run into something else that goes, ah, you're here. The sacrifices can commence. Once more, they encounter something that tells them this. And then finally, they get to the main room. Now, let's assume that this window here that I'm in is the main room. They're coming in down here. There's 5 orcs. Now, to keep in mind, they've been fighting CRs 6, 7, and 8 at this point. Orcs are CR1/2, I think. Anyway, here, 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 and here are warlocks in little 5-foot circles of runes. And up here, on a dais, coming like this, is the leader of the cult. He's behind a shimmering barrier of some kind. Now, before I go any further, this guy was intended to be the complete loser bad guy like Team Rocket. Okay? Okay. First things first. They come in, they kill all the orcs, just knock them out of the way, and the warlocks ignore them and keep chanting. They fire... One guy fires firebolt at the warlock, and it hits that barrier and bounces off. So they decide, must be an unbreakable barrier. No. They start fighting the warlocks, and the warlocks fight back, but they never leave the circle they're in. One of them gets a flaming sphere, which lasts, 10 rounds or concentration, right on him. He doesn't leave his circle. The first warlock gets killed. The runes of the circle he's in start to glow. At this point, I thought they would have caught a clue. They killed all 4 warlocks where they stood, committing the sacrifices needed. Little warlock back there behind effectively a second level barrier spell that would have gone down under any physical assault ascends to be a demon prince. He finishes the ultimate ritual. Your sacrifices must be performed by your greatest enemy. That was 4 months ago. This is his sigil. Now, 3 months ago, I had one of his minions appear in the dreams of the party's strongest arcane spellcaster, a sorcerer, and tells them, yeah, you know how you were told you had like 2 years to, find his sigil and break it? It's too late. Yeah, he's mastered time. He's the demon prince of time. Yeah, that's it. So he's already coalesced his power and doing, thrashing his sigil ain't gonna do nothing. So why don't you join us? I fully, 100% expected the sorcerer to go, nope. Let's just say he secretly took a level of warlock. Well, last week was the end of the final dungeon, with this Saturday being the final battle of the final dungeon. They had to find these crystals, put them in the braziers, turn them, and open the door, go in, and destroy the sigil. Well, as soon as they found the second crystal, they started seeing things like gods from other universes as translucent mirages just watching, occasionally wincing, occasionally covering their mouth laughing. And as they turned the 2 braziers, reality behind them looked like it was starting to crumble away. They walked through the door, and there in the center is the big bad demon prince in his mortal form, at probably an avatar. And then 4 of his minions. A somewhat ascended spirit naga. a now part demon massive orc with barbarian levels. And 2 now partially demonic Mind Flayer Arcanists. No, I did not sculpt these miniatures. I don't remember where I got them. Anyway, so, get these guys. And the Demon Prince says,
"Ah, the time has come at last."
and holds his hand out like this. And now, see, there's 5 of the bad guys, 7 of the party. And the sorcerer, the artillery, the firepower of the party, breaks ranks and starts walking over to the other side. Turns around and walks backwards until he's standing next to the Demon Prince's avatar and shakes his hand, nodding. Okay, good night, and I'll see you next week. Yeah. It's brilliant. I couldn't have written it better. I could not have written that entire scene better or timed it better. It was just outrageous. Let me put all these figures back. Yeah. I will say I kind of flubbed up when printing the Naga. You see, when I hollowed him out, I hollowed him out too close to the top, and he kind of fragmented a bit. Oh well. Anyway, back to sculpting. I'm so tempted to put like a Hell's Angels symbol on the back. Yeah, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It won't have anything written on it, but here's how I'm gonna do this. I'm going to draw on that, and then come up a bit, bring it across, down. It's about there. I'm going to stick out to here. Then I'm going to erase the bottom edge of both sides. Come back like that. Like that. And then bring this around like that. And erase the top portion of this so that I have a sharper edge. Now, I am now going to come up here and invert the masking, deformation. I'm going to extrude it out until it looks, or inflate it out until it looks pretty decent. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn it back. I'm going to draw that. And the purpose of this is to erase this corner here from what's currently masked. And extract it out a bit by inflating it. And then make the mouse just a little bit bigger and very gently smooth the corners here. So we've got that. And now I'm going to shrink the mouse and make it weaker. And just basically kind of trace around the bottom edge. Just to kind of exaggerate. Oh! Kind of exaggerate where it is. Same thing here. So this way, it's a lot easier to outline when it comes time. I'm not drawing very strongly. I'm just very lightly on the mouse. Just enough to make it distinct. Which, by the way, this is a big advantage of sculpting in digital over putty. If I wanted to go back after having done that in putty, well, the vest is already solidified, so I'd have to sit there and actually dig out with a sharp knife. And I couldn't have as much control. And it wouldn't take me just a single stroke on each direction. It would be there we go. Frame out. And we got our biker boy with his crossbow. Now we need to do his pants and his boots after I get some soda. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, actually we're not going to give him his pants and boots yet, we're going to give him some wristbands. He's going to have a small wristband on this wrist. I say small because of the unfortunate blending with the leg right there. I'm going to zoom in real close. And I'm going to select here and then deselect here and whoop. Well, no. Select here. Okay, good. That's going to be more like a bangle. And then we're going to give him, let's give him an armband up here. And then one right here. A nice thick one. Right there. Frame out. And these are going to be extracted at 0.03. Extract. Accept. Draw. And draw. And now these guys, we're going to Dynamesh them at 256. 256 tends to give me the sharper edges on these Dynameshes, making it better for like leather and armor and things like that. Whereas 512 seems to give me better, or sorry, not 512. 128 seems to make it smoother and more cloth-like. So 1, 2, 3. Delete lower frame, and I'm going to do add in. How does that look? Okay. I'm going to make this really big and just kind of, all right. One, 2, 3, 4. Well, no. 4, 5, and one under here. 6. Okay, now frame out. There we go. That's all we really need on the upper body. Hide the upper body stuff. And now we need to add on his pants. Now the way we're going to do this is we're going to draw on the top of his pants. And we're going to do a little bit higher than I would actually want it to be to look so cool. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding on the belt on top of this. So the belt will actually be made out of this. And then we're going to be making the belt loops, just like we have in the past. Oh, wait a minute. I've only done like 1 or 2 things with belt loops in the past. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. So let's go ahead and just make it nice and large so we have room to work. And we're going to extract it at 0.2. 0.02. Extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Geometry. Oh, wrong one. We need to select the belt, yeah, or the top of the pants. And we're going to Dynamesh it. And before we subdivide it, we're going to bring the mouse and we're going to make it large enough to almost. Okay. Now we're going to shrink it, the intensity down, but we're going to start smoothing here. Nope, because I made the mouse too large. And then we just basically smooth it out until it's almost in. And then we're going to use move. Make a, and just kind of drag them in and down. The reason for the down is because that helps stretch it out and down. So that way it's poking through the skin. We'll need less actual work to blend the whole thing. And there we go. And in the case of the crotch, we want to kind of definitely rebuild some of what we lost when we smoothed everything. There we go. There we go. Excellent. Alright, now we're going to subdivide it a few times. And one more. Yeah, delete lower. Shrink this. And we're going to draw on our belt. It's gonna come around this way. And it's kind of funny. A lot of people don't realize this, but originally belts were not made to hold up your pants. The original purpose of a belt was to tighten your tunic around your waist. It's only relatively late period that they became devoted to holding up trousers. Okay, and now we go back up to subtool, and we're going to extract at 0.02, accept, draw, draw, and now we're going to dynamesh it, but at 256. And then subdivide it a couple times so it's kind of smooth. Now we're going back to our upper thingy here, and we're going to draw on our belt loops. Oh. We're going pretty much as high as we feel like going, because we are going to be going back here in a minute and shrinking them. And because we're going to be cutting off the tops and bottoms to make them sharper. But we do that after we make the belt visible again. And we're getting close to our and these are going to be shrunk down, or not shrunk down, but extruded at 0.3. So that way we have them sticking over the belt. Okay, now let's go ahead and zoom in. Now, I'm going to play around with it for just a second here with masking. I'm going to grow the mask a couple times and then sharpen it. Grow it a couple times and then sharpen it a couple times. Now, I'm going to blur it once. Then, subtool, extract to 0.03. Accept. Draw. And then I'm going to draw that to get rid of it. And now, geometry, dynamesh of 128. Subdivide it a couple times. Bleed lower. And then I'm going to merge down a couple times. Always okay. Merge down. Frame. Okay. Now we're going to subdivide it one more time. And we're going to dynamesh it at 512. and subdivide it. Bleed lower. And we're going to use my gem tool to make just a simple, basic, round. Let me pull this out. Depth. Embed 0. Belt buckle. And we're going to split masked points, or unmasked points. Now, let's go ahead and subdivide that just once or twice. Okay, so he has so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add on the tops of his boots. I'm having to guesstimate in some areas. Okay. Frame out. And now we're going to extract this at 0.02. Accept, draw, and select him and draw. Now we come back to these, and once again we're going to dynamesh it at 256. These numbers will change depending on what resolution you're at, what size of figure you're using. Okay, so let's just very gently come around. Right now I'm more concerned with getting it blended into the base of the leg than I am with getting rid of that little seam. Okay, and right here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to subdivide it a couple times. Delete lower. Close this, and we're going to merge with the nose and the pants. The reason being is because we're about to fuse them. So now we go to geometry and we dynamesh. And then before we subdivide it, we need to go ahead and smooth out the seam. Some areas we don't need to do too much smoothing because they're at the bottom of the Okay, now we go ahead and with a much larger brush or tool, really. Go ahead and we smooth out the bottoms of these cuffs. You notice I tapped that one to get a repeat because I do want to kind of blend these and smooth them a bit to with this. So now come over here to this side. And here. Frame out. Yeah. Now I need to grab new soda. It is 9:25. It's about time for me to start working on the wrinkles. I'm just glad that goblins don't have hair. Okay. Check something. See how it dried. Excellent. Okay. So we're going back to our standard brush. And we're going to start adding in wrinkles for the pants. Actually, let's make it a little, yeah, that's about right size of what we want. And we're going to start gently moving down. Actually, you want to kind of bulge it out around here. Make sure I've got, oh no I don't. Turn it off. There we go. Yeah, that's why it was acting weird. And make it a little bit baggy around the around where it meets the jeans. And let's hide this darn hand, which is in the way. Thank you. And then we just kind of draw. Come in and make this bigger. Okay. No, don't do that. I want to be like that. Okay, now we're going to take the slash tool. I didn't use the slash tool, did I? No, I didn't. Okay, slash. Make it bigger. Make it positive. Really drop that intensity and turn off the lazy mouse. We're going to kind of draw in some zigzag wrinkles here. I'm going to smooth the ends of a good bit of these wrinkles, because that's what happens. You smooth the ends of them to make them look a bit more naturally occurring. And up one. Now it comes time for some compression wrinkles as well, because here's where we have our leg bent. Okay. And then, like I said, let's emphasize this little section here. Just a faint smoothing. Now we switch to subtract and increase the depth a little bit. Tilt it upright a little, go underneath, and turn this into wrinkles. Wrinkle, wrinkle, little cloth. You don't move just like a sloth. My songs are bad, I freely say, which is why we now sculpt today. 'Cause if I could sing, I wouldn't be sculpting. Then again, I probably would be. Just not on YouTube. And bring this down. You'll notice that the wrinkles are relatively broad compared to how they'd actually look in reality. The real wrinkles would be more, there'd be a lot more of them, and they wouldn't be as narrow, or as broad rather. It'd be a lot more narrow. And then last thing to do, we're going to go ahead and also add in a couple wrinkles in certain areas of the boots, because boots do develop wrinkles. Having worn more than my fair share, I can say that. Especially in places like this. Especially when it's like, you know, really tight bend. There'll also be a couple marks on the back, right on the back of the heel. Right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and push to add, and just on a little bit, kind of emphasize on the toe where these wrinkles are. And now the next thing that we have to do before we get to the hands, which is mostly the last thing, we're still going to use the inflate brush, but we're going to be a lot more subtle with it. We're going to make the ankle bones a bit more obvious, because, you know, goblins are kind of bony, so their ankle bones would be bony. I am pretty sure that we are very close to done with this little Schmuckatelli. In fact, that's his name, Schmuckatelli, the crossbowman. Yeah. See, what do you think, eh? Schmuckatelli, the crossbowman. To the fist. So grab it. Move topological. We're also going to kind of move it out of the body of the crossbow. And then go to inflate and inflate inside that thumb. Well, let me undo, shrink, and then hide the weapon so you can see it. Yeah, there we go. Let's make sure I don't have, okay, I don't want back face masking on for this, because we need to be able to get in and inflate the whole of that thumb. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Now what we're going to do, let's hide it again. No, not select it, hide it. And make sure this is a bit big enough. Yeah, that's about right. Inflate our knuckles. And draw our tendons. We're then going to smooth out the base where they blend into the corner of the hand, and a little bit where they meet each other. We're then going to use the index to figure out where the other knuckles would be, and just a little bit. I really need to drop these down in intensity, yeah. And then kind of blend them in. And then same here, we're going to make these a little bit bigger. And then, oh! Okay. Alrighty. And we're going to 1, 2, 3. Draw a little bit around here and a little bit there. No, a little bit here and a little bit here. Okay, and then drop it down 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to try. We're going to draw the tendons. And then we're going to come around. We're going to use the pinky this time to judge where our knuckles should be. So one there, one there. And a little bit further forward, and both of them for the ring. And then the index is even with the ring. Then we're going to blend. And then here. 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 Then here. 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 And here. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to need to do on both hands. We're going back to slash, subtract 15. And we're going to draw in the slash to split those fingers apart again. Make sure that they show up nice and separate fingers. Now, the reason I didn't put this, do that, and then 1, yeah, it's perfect. On the other hand, is because, number 1, this hand is showing effort. So we wanted that knuckle to be a bit more prominent. And number 2, because, well, it's just not as important. It's not as much of a place that people will focus on as this hand. This hand is the important hand. Okay. Now, frame out. And this is what we've got now. I can put this up for now. Now, can anyone tell me? Let me get a little bit right in here. And then, can anyone tell me what we still have left to do? Anybody? There's still one thing we need to do. Yeah, did you all leave me? Am I bummed? Yes, the base. So what we're going to do is we've been using the Rocky base this whole time. Before we bring it in, let's go ahead and merge it all down into one. Now we're going to append another little star. I'm going to import the Rocky base, which is not in the Pixelogic directory. It's up here in the desktop in my 3D printing folder. And that's bases. Rocky. Okay, now we can see we need to bring this down because it's way too high. The base is way too high. Deformation or offset Y. And drop down. Let's go ahead and rotate on the Y because we want to spin it a bit. That's not a really cool spot for the handle to be. We want it to be here. Yeah, that's good. In fact, we can go ahead and offset it -0.5, -1. There we go. That's pretty good. Yeah. Now, from the front, I think we need to give it just a little bit of X. Yeah. And from the side, it definitely needs some Y, some Z rather. And we're gonna, there we go. That looks pretty good to me. So let's grab him, merge down, and now we go back to geometry, and we Dynamesh. And we end up with 2.082 million polygons. Okay, so now let's undo the Dynamesh frame. Do that just so that we can get a nice little cool look to them. Zoom out. And now we go to Z plugin, bring it over here, and we go to Decimation Master. Now this sucker, I'm going to go ahead and go for 70,000, and let's see what happens. Triangles, 35,000 points. So it says 35K. And, well, it calculated perfectly. Now let's see if it can do the polygon count at 70,000 and 77. And, yep, it's pretty much good. It's hard to see the difference between these two. So let's go ahead and we're gonna export. And we're gonna take this to our broadcast miniatures new, and this is Shooty Gobbo figure. And just because it would look cool, let's just look to see what would happen if we did a turntable. I'm not going to save it, I just want to look at it. So we do a turntable. And there we go. Once again, it seems to be a common trait for goblins to be a bit overeager and try for weapons a bit more than they can handle. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Kim, that might be because I have the full version. Do you have ZBrush Core? Or do you have just the regular ZBrush? Because if you'll look up here, I have full ZBrush 2018.1. If you have full ZBrush, you might want to consider coming over here to ZScript, not ZScript, Z plugin, and what was it? It wasn't. Which one was it? What tool was it? I don't remember what it was. Well, no. Well, anyway, you might want to check to see if there's an updated version. Have it run its update. Yeah, do you have 2018.1 or do you have 2018? Well, let me go ahead and bing, so I can close that. Okay. Let me see what happens. Okay. For R8P2, you should have that. The buttons. You might want to set in a... Yeah, you might want to just run an update. That's relatively recent. Okay. Anyway. As you can see, it is now complete. We now have our Gobbo done. It is 9:50. We got him done a little bit ahead of time. So yay. I will have him up on Thingiverse tonight. So if you want to print out a goblin crossbowman who's got a bigger crossbow than he can handle, go for it. I also left the hand open through the fist, so if you want to string it with a string or a piece of wire, it'll fit through the fist. So, yeah. Yeah, 4R8 is a bit old. 4R8 was 2017's edition. 2018 has a whole lot more features. A whole lot more. Including if you have a brush that has a curve. In 4R8, when you stop and start it again, perfect example would be the layer brush. It would start it as a totally new draw, which means that initial overlap, instead of being smooth, would have like a dip even deeper. Now, as long as you don't move the camera, you can stop and start again. Oh. Excuse me. Pardon me for that. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. So as you can see, I'm a little tired today. And I'm going to go ahead and call it a night for right now. Because, you know, I kind of need to. So, I'm going to do my usual holding up the hand and doing the countdown with the hand. And when I see it reach the bottom, I'm going to go bye-bye. And sometime within the next 20 or 30 minutes, I should have Mr. Overeager Crossbowman ready. So, I'm going to go ahead and say a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. You're welcome, and thank you. I hate lag.